you said a minute ago the world's changing, and I've thought about this a long time because when I was a teenager, I knew I wanted to do filmmaking. Didn't know exactly how to go about it. Still trying to figure it out, but I've had a lot more direction than I did when I was a teenager. Film school, and even just teaching yourself. I know you're providing resources. You're almost like a modern day film school, what you've done. But you also went to film school, And so I'm curious, what's your opinion of people going to film school? Because I work with some people that went to film school, and none of them are like super glad they did, but some of them are just kind of neutral and they don't really care. I've never heard like an amazing film school experience testimony. You know what I mean?
So, all right. So I love talking about this because it's one of my pet peeves in life. I went to film school in 1995.
Mm-hmm.
In 1995, there was no information about how to make films outside of going to film school. There was, other than books that you could buy or see at the library, and the occasional Star Wars documentary about how they made it, and Raiders of the Lost Ark documentary that they saw, and maybe some occasional DVD extras, like Robert Rodriguez's
or commentary.
Yeah, or commentaries. It was kind of like that was DVDs and the Criterion Collection and all that kind of stuff. That was early self-education.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't structured though. It was very kind of all over the place. So it wasn't a structured situation.
A lot of terminology you don't understand at that age too.
Right. I mean, you're hearing Martin Scorsese talk about how he made Raging Bull on a Criterion Collection Laserdisc, because that's how old I am.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going, yeah, that's great, Marty. I love it. Thank you. But like, what's that? What's that lens? What are you talking about? So it wasn't. It was great, but it was the beginning of it. So I had no other choice but to go to film school. My film school cost $18,000.
Wow.
Okay, that's what my film school cost. I went to Full Sail in Orlando. My same education costs like $70,000 or $80,000 now.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't do that, because if you're listening, please listen very carefully. If you're going to go to a film school and charge up a stupid amount of student debt to go to get an education, where you're spending $50,000 to $80,000 to even $100,000 in student debt that you cannot afford.
Mm-hmm.
If your parents can write a check, dude, go to film school. It's so much fun. It's fun. It's great. Why not? You meet some people, you play with gear, all that kind of stuff. But if you've actually got to pay this back, I would absolutely not go to film school. And there's other options, and I'll give them to you in a second. You have to look at it as a business transaction.
Mm-hmm.
What is your ROI? Return on investment.
Mm-hmm.
If I pay $50,000, how long will it take me to get that money back into my pocket and also pay this loan back, which is a loan that you can never get rid of? It's stuck to you for life.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks to the government.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So you're stuck with it, period. So you have to ask yourself, how long is it going to take me? Be honest. How long is it going to take me to generate enough money to pay back a $50,000 to $70,000 student debt?
Mm-hmm.
The realities are, in today's world, that it's going to take you at minimum 5 to 10 years to start truly making real money if you were going to go into the workforce, meaning like freelancing, things like that. All depends on the different circumstances where you are, what kind of market there is, all that kind of stuff. If you were going to go in there, because I was lucky. It took me a few years before I paid my loan off, probably in 3 or 4 years, okay, because I was doing well, but it was a different time. So you have to ask yourself, well, how long is it going to take me to get a job? How long is it going to take me to actually start making some real money?
Yeah.
And then, so you're looking at a decade, and that's a best case scenario.
Yeah, that's if you're real disciplined and you find a good opportunity.
If you're solid, like you're working hard, and so that's best case scenario. There's no ROI in that, because the same amount, I'm gonna quote Matt Damon in Good Will Hunting.
Okay.
One day you're gonna wake up and you're gonna realize that you spent $150,000 on an education that you could have had for $5 in late fees at the library. It's true, because now you've got resources like mine, like what you guys are doing, YouTube, online courses, books. There's so many virtual resources. That's one avenue you can go down, is virtual resources. You will learn more from being on a set working for free for 2 months than you will from a year at film school.
Yeah.
You just will. So I would rather just work on a set, or hell, shoot my own stuff and learn as I go. Because then maybe I have a product or something I can sell afterwards, or I have a calling card I can use and things like that. If you've got $20,000 burning a hole in your pocket to go to film school, well, hell, figure a way out to how to invest that into content or projects or something that you can do to actually move your career forward in a faster way. I'm not against film school as a concept. I'm against film school as a cost, as an ROI. If you can go to your local community college, which a lot of them offer media courses, film classes, and you're talking about a few $100s for a class, $500, $700 to take a semester, do that.
Yeah.
Absolutely do that, because then you're going to be able to play with gear and do all that stuff, but at a much more cost-effective manner. There's ROI there.
Yeah.
There's a return on investment there. Going to NYU, USC, AFI, Full Sail, any of these big giant, New York Film Academy, any of these guys that charge just obscene amounts of money, it doesn't make sense. I've spoken at almost all of those colleges, and I've talked to students, that have left, alma mater, people that come out of there, and I hear the same thing. If you go to USC, the most valuable thing you'll get is the connections you'll make with your classmates. Because if you're in the USC Film School, chances are something's going to happen to that. They're probably going to be plugged in somewhere, and those people are going to be able to help you along your career. There's a value in that. Is it worth $80,000 to $120,000? No, but if you can get in there somehow, if you can get scholarships, you get great. Same thing for NYU. Not as much. USC is a much more industry tapped in college. AFI, great program. Full Sail, great. They're going to teach you a lot of stuff, but you just got to look at it as ROI. Can you learn this stuff on your own? Can you learn from doing? Can you learn from self-educating yourself through podcasts, through YouTube channels, through paying online courses? Do you
through
know
Indie Film Hustle,
Yeah, through Indie Film Hustle. Look, if you go out, you can go right now and spend $3,000 to $4,000 on online courses from real people.
Yeah.
To educate you. Just on Masterclass alone, you can get Spike Lee, Ron Howard, Samuel Jackson, Aaron Sorkin. And by the way, they're not the greatest things in the world, but for someone who doesn't know anything, oh man, they're fantastic.
Yeah.
And for $180, you get all of them for a year.
That's crazy. That's awesome.
You go to Indie Film Hustle TV, which is my streaming platform. I've got 2,700 videos and lessons on every part of the business.
Yeah.
For $99 a year.
That's awesome.
You could just sit there and you can watch all of it. Then if you want to go to higher end stuff, my courses range from $100 to $700. Would it make sense to just hire someone like me or other professionals in business as a coach? Spend $2,000 and have them coach you through your first short film and go, hey man, Joe, don't do that, man, because you're going to need this, 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 and this. And I just saved you probably thousands of dollars and probably weeks, if not months of your time. Do you see where there's ROI there? You have to look at everything as a return on investment and a return on time. ROT and ROI. It's extremely, extremely important. Hell, you'll learn a lot just by buying a $10 book. $20 book. Like if you read Filmtrepreneur, Jesus Christ, you're going to be so ahead of the game that I was when I walked into film school. So there's so many more options. So I would absolutely not go to film school unless you can afford it, or unless you could do it at a cost affordable way, like a community college or even workshops. Even paying for $500 workshop here or there, being taught over a weekend, you'll learn so much more than spending $50,000. It doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make any sense. Our business is not a business that you rake in the money, no matter what Hollywood tells you. It is not a business that you get rich at. It is not.
Yeah.
It is not. But they show you the guys who get rich. That's what they do, because they want kids like you to keep coming into the business so they can take advantage of you, so they can abuse you. So, and like perfect example, that earlier conversation we had about you editing the movie for $1,000 and I was going to charge $5,000. You're like, I'm not just happy. I'll do it for $1,000.
Yeah.
Right. They're going to beat the living hell out of you for that $1,000.
Yeah.
I won't do something like that because I've already been beaten up.
Yeah. Yeah.
You see what I mean? And that's
Absolutely.
what they need. They want fresh blood in the system, or else the system crashes. And that is the kind of false narrative that Hollywood has been putting out since the beginning of time.